No matter where you are in your life or what you are doing, having a good mentality is crucial for your success. And this day, day 3 of the Corrupted Cup, is no different, because no matter how highly you're seated or how high or low your LP is, none of that matters in a tournament. Once it starts, all that matters are the actual games played. But today's story is a little bit different, because these were some of the most testing games of my entire life, and you'll find out what I mean exactly in just a couple of moments, because we're going to get right into the games, and soon, after like the first 2 games, you'll realize exactly what I'm talking about. Just as a meta preview, Samira was going to be the comp that is going to be contested this tournament, because on ladder, no one cared if 5 people played Samira. Everyone is forcing Samira unless they get a ridiculous start for something else. A lot of people suspected we were going to be playing Samira Bingo. You could already see in the chat right here, people are calling dibs on her. People are asking about like bow openers, and some people are even like, you know what, let's have a gentleman's agreement. No one goes for the bow. But this is just to show you how meta defining this comp was for this tournament. It was my strategy too. So we're trying to go for the bow. We don't get it. We get a glove. You know, it still builds Last Whisper, and that is a mandatory item on your Samira. Now, I'm not the best Samira player. I'm not the worst Samira player. I can kind of handle it. You know, if it's the best comp, it's the best comp. I'm going to try to play it. But if you are a frequent watcher of the channel, you'll know that I'm not a Samira player here. All my 2-hour videos are on different comps such as AP, Duelist, Jax, things of that nature. So this definitely was not my meta, but we get an interesting option of augments right here. I opt to go for Thrill of the Hunt. I have no Anima Squad, so I can't really go for that. Celestial Blessing is very similar to Thrill of the Hunt, but it is typically stronger in the late game, and we're in the early game now, so I definitely prefer the Thrill of the Hunt. And I also didn't feel like re-rolling a Silver Augment that's okay to use. It's not my first pick, but I don't think it warranted a re-roll. Since we have a Kai'Sa, I'm thinking we could go Kai'Sa. Zoe's really good in the early game, and I have a slammable item. So I'm like, you know what? Let's level up and put in 4 units. We end up facing someone with 4 brawlers on stage 2-1, so there's just no way you're beating this comp. So we're not off to a good start yet, because I really wanted to start a win streak. I see that there's another recon player with this recon crest over there. So my Kai'Sa is probably not even going to work out either. At this point, I'm pretty worried. Maybe I just default into Samira comp, because we do have a Gunblade and Last Whisper, which are the 2 best items for her right now. We end up winning the next round because everyone's running Underground. There are, I believe, 3 Underground players this game. So we just settle for a defensive item. We go into the last round. We're against a 2-item Talon, but he ends up running a Marathon before he starts attacking us, so that's pretty good. Whether we win or lose this round, it doesn't matter that much. A lot of people are like, oh, you want like a 2-loss streak going into the neutral rounds, but if you win the round, you get a gold anyways. So in this situation, it's probably like slightly better to win, but it doesn't really matter that much. Thrill of the Hunt just absolutely saves our lives here, and we do end up winning the round because of it, because our Kai'Sa barely lives like 3 occasions and then healed all the way back up, and then we're able to finish off the rest of his team. Again, it is a pretty cool fight, that's why I'm showing it to you guys, but it doesn't really impact the game that much. A lot of people think if you get like a certain item start, if you do win-lose, like you already lose the game, but that's just not true at all. Like a lot of people say that, they're either exaggerating or they don't know what they're talking about. But we get a glove, we get a Negatron, and we get a bow from Krugs, and that's exactly what you want, because we have a Last Whisper already. I guess not exactly what you want. You just need Last Whisper, none of the other items matter. We're gonna drop all those items onto our Sivir and pretty much call it a day from there. You could build the Guard Breaker, but I think we want some defensive items. From the augments, Civilian, Phony Frontline, Sunfire Board. Nothing wrong with Phony Frontline, very good in the Samira comp because you do want Frontline, and that's exactly what it gives. Civilian Crest, not that great. And then Sunfire Cape, we already have a belt, so that's probably already turning into a Sunfire. So we end up rerolling. You could have taken Phony, but since this is probably the last augment round, I just decided to use my reroll to get something even better. We do. Makeshift Armor is perfect because we have a lot of offensive items, and whenever you have a lot of offensive items, you just take Makeshift Armor. Level up to 6, we are a bit poor, and we are missing 2 Sure Shot. That's one of the main downfalls of this game, because we just sit here with a 1-star Sivir, no synergies for a long time. It's one of the risks of running her versus like a different item holder, because Senna is a 3-cost unit, a little more difficult to get, and it's kind of the only one you can use. If you compare it to stuff like Duelist, they have a lot of different options you could synergize with. Draven doesn't need any synergies, and then like Vayne could do either like recons or something. So it is a bit of a risk, but you know, sometimes you just do it because nothing really matters until level 8 for this comp. But Makeshift armor is incredibly good because you run a lot of tanks, and I mean a lot. And then if you can focus fully itemizing 2 Sure Shots, or like a Sure Shot plus Bel'Veth or Urgot, your team is going to be so much stronger than everyone else because you pretty much get a free frontline items from the Makeshift armor. With that in mind, what type of item would you want on this carousel? We have a Negatron Cloak, so what I'm looking for is either a bow for Runons, a glove for Quicksilver, or a sword for Bloodthirster. Maybe even a Zephyr, because I could just put that on a utility unit, such as like the extra Sure Shots that are just trait bots. But first picks for me would be bow, then glove, then sword. Hopefully we get the glove here and we do end up doing that. So this game is actually looking really good for us. Looks, however, can be deceiving. Does not matter unless you hit Samira. But look at this shop. We have the Samira and we have the Senna. So we just sell the Sivir, drop the items on Samira. It's not over yet, but this is a pretty good game. If we were playing Marvel Snap right now, I would snap. But that's not how TFT works. After winning the last round, we faced this guy with Sivir 2. He's got a Bel'Veth, and he's got like a 2-star Riven, 2-star Rel. He has Trade Sector. That's how he got the stronger board. And he also has the Sure Shot Augment. Unfortunately, we end up getting 0 items from Wolf Camp. So it just turns out to be one of those 8 Wolf Camp games. So what that means is you only get 8 item components at this point. And a lot of players, this is a big complaint point because it just means you just don't have that much to power up with during stage 4, and stage 4 is probably the most critical rounds of TFT because this is where player damage actually starts to ramp up and when you take some big hits. Because of that, and because we already have Samira 1, I did not feel inclined to roll down at this point. The reason why is because 1, we could get the Samira augment next turn, and then in that case we'll have a Samira pair, then we roll down after that. Number 2, even if we do get strong, by the way, this guy is Sedge 2, Senna 2, he has a Bel'Veth, Alistar 2. He rolled for it, so he definitely does deserve the board because he actually rolled for it. But let's say we hit the same stuff as he did. He has 6 items. One of them is from Band of Thieves, so he has 5 completed items, so he just has 2 more items than us. It's just not a fair comparison. Even if we hit the same board, he likely would still win. On this augment shop, we are pretty much just looking for any Samira augment, so it doesn't matter which one, could be the support or carry one. This is a 4-3-4, so pretty high chance we get it. Daredevil's pretty good. I'd prefer Style and Flare, but you know what? I'm not going to risk it because I've seen a lot of cursed hero augment rerolls, even if you have 3 of them. And if we hit Samira 2, we are just giga chilling. We hit the fiddle there. Like, this game actually is going so well right now. The only bad thing that happened, and in hindsight I should have thought about this, you may see on the top right, some people already hit the Samira 2. Doing some scouting, we see that there are 3 other Samira players. Only one of them has it. We're the 4th one. So a little risky of a situation. Granted, we do have 2 of them, and there's still a bunch of Samiras in the pool still. So even though we have not rolled yet because we want to roll an 8 and we're relatively healthy because we did not run Underground, all the Underground players, they had to lose a bit more in the early game. They probably have more gold than us, but again, we did not have the option of playing Underground this game, so that's a little unfortunate. I forget exactly who had Underground this game and who didn't, but it would be interesting to compare who hit Samira 2 based on who had Underground. That'd be pretty fun to kind of check out. Maybe in a future video we could do that. But we do lose this round. Bel'Veth is just so good right now. And this threat team with threat level maximum, yep, sounds pretty good to me. All of a sudden on this carousel, we find ourselves with 27 life because we lost all those rounds. We want to pick up some offensive items, so I go for this Urgot with the sword here. We're probably just going to end up playing him. But instead of rolling on 7 like a lot of other players, we decide to roll on level 8, which is what we're going to do right now. Unfortunately, not the best econ because we have some random upgrades. We have the Alistar 2 and stuff, so we don't have that much gold. So we could only roll down a couple gold here. Maybe we should have just 5-1'd it. I'm not really too sure, but at 27 life, it seems a little iffy. I end up buying the set 2 here just to get a random 4-cost 2-star tank. It might have ended up being a mistake because it's no synergy, so it's a little sketchy. But I'm hoping the Fiddle and Urgot 1 might be enough to kind of do at least a little bit. It doesn't have to be much, but we face a guy with Samira 2 and an Aphelios. But this guy was AFK in Underground, so I think he does deserve it. He has so many items. I checked his cash out. I think he got 4 items from his Underground. So the fact that we are the same life means that Underground is just such a stupid trait. Because how on earth can we have the same life total when he got a 3 or 4 Underground cash out? That's just bonkers to me. You know, I know he's had it for like a little bit, but like it just catches up so quickly because he gets so many items. We end up getting a defender buff and the Samira 2 here, so things are looking okay. With some scouting, we do dodge the Zed player, which is really nice. Actually, he wasn't really using Hacker, but I think at the time I thought he was. And he's got a Vayne 2, pretty bad Zed augment, so we should win this. We have Samira 2. It is the best comp in the game right now, and we've got like pretty good items on her, you know? And this makeshift is doing a lot of work too. I probably should have slammed the Bloodthirster, but you know what? It's okay. We end up taking a win into stage 5. Since we have set, we do kind of want to run mech. Unfortunately, with makeshift armor, it's like not that good of a combo. You actually lose value on it. So we don't actually want to run this set in the late game. We want to get as many damage items as we can here. So we go for stuff like, I think Deathblade IE or something like that. Pretty much just any offensive item you could build, you should just build it. I'm also taking way too long picking this. I should just pick it. It's probably Gunblade on Urgot, maybe Edge and Knight QSS or something. Ionic on Fiddle is fine too. Deathblade with Shroud is fine. Okay, but let's do our roll downs. It was probably Edge and Knight though, now that I look back on it. Sivir, sure. I guess not. We do need the Aphelios for 4 sure shot. We don't really see him quite yet. And then we roll down. We don't really get any good 2-star tank. We do have the set, but like, he's not doing the best, I'm not going to lie. Luckily, we could put the Shroud on Fiddle to get more value out of our makeshift on the other units. And here's where we face a guy with Riven 3. So how are we supposed to beat a Riven 3? I don't really know. He just randomly has it at stage 5-1 with the Samira 2. So yeah, at 11 life, we just lose this one. 8th to start off the tournament. We need 28 points to make it through, and 8th place only gets you 1 point, and we have 5 more games to get 27 points, which means you need to average around a 3.6 for the rest of the tournament. On ladder, that might be doable in a lot of cases, but in this tournament, there are a lot of household names, especially in this lobby, so it definitely is a lot more difficult than it sounds. Game 2 starts off with a little bit of a twist. So you see this bow right here? We have 4 people going for it, and I end up getting it. I end up sniping the bow. Really good. Looking like another Samira game. We got Sword and Negatron from the neutral rounds, and then here is where I decide, out of Brawler Crest, Pandora's, and item grab bag, I'm going to go for the grab bag anyways, because a lot of items are usable in the sure shot comp, and worst case, we could pivot out of it if we don't get something good that's like completely bogus. But we get a Runons, which is incredibly good, and we get the Sivir pair. You know what the unfortunate thing about this game is? The game gets paused, and they tell us we have to remake the game because they didn't tell us to start. But they didn't specify that we couldn't start, and they normally specify if we're not supposed to start. I checked the rulebook even, and there's not much that really talks about it, but, you know, because the tournament organizers, they have somewhere in here that says they can do whatever they want pretty much, like you just have to follow along. But normally in the Discord group where they organize the tournament, if they do want you to wait before starting your next game, they normally tell you. They say, start game 1 now, but wait for the second one. But they did not do that this time. This admin did not do it. In all the other lobbies we got in, all the other admins did it. So I think it's just admin diff on this game. But guess what? We don't get the bow anymore. We get a glove. So like, that's really, really stupid in my opinion. Luckily, the Sivir pair comes back to us. And we get a good augment in Cluttered Mind here. Cluttered Mind is really good for fast 8 strategies, so you definitely want to pick that up whenever you're playing Samira Bingo. Cluttered Mind is a really interesting augment though. It's a little tricky, but after playing it once or twice, you kind of get the hang of it. You pretty much just want to keep your bench full at all times to get the bonus XP. It does make your econ a little bit lower, but you gain all the gold back whenever you end up needing the level ups because you technically get 3 gold per turn, which is pretty big. By the time you reach stage 4-1, you normally get around 30 experience just for free, so that's like 30 gold in your pocket. Not to mention you do get bonus level ups such as it's stage 2-3 right now and we're already level 5, which means we could get better leveling odds, we could add in an extra unit to surprise some people early on, so it definitely is a pretty playable augment. We pick up this win here despite losing the first 2, and we're looking for a bow here to complete our last whisper with our Infinity Edge. Whenever you play the Samira comp, you definitely want to have one of your gloves saved at all times in order to get the Last Whisper because it's just a required item. So you would not build Thieves Gloves in the situation we had here, so it's always build the IE. Pretty much if you ever get double glove, you just never build Thieves Gloves. If you get 3 gloves, sure, but like you just have to save one of them. So if you got glove plus like some random item that's not IE, let's say it's something you can't build for your comp, you would typically just not build any items and try to lose streak completely. But we're able to beat this player. So we are going to be at around like middle of the pack after the ends of these rounds. From the Krugs, we get a tier, we get a chain, and last item is going to be a bow. So we do end up getting really good stuff. I end up slamming the Protector's Vow. Not the best tank items, but tiers aren't really useful in the Samira comp. And even something like a Spear of Shojin on Aurelion Soul isn't really worth it because you really just want to focus on your sure shots or on like a Bel'Veth or Urgot or Fiddlesticks. So you just slam the Protector's Vow and then you save the bow for a third damage item or just like a secondary carry. Next augment round, we get Scope Weapons, Jeweled Lotus, or First Aid Kit. Jeweled Lotus is really good if you don't have IE, but we already have one. And then second round, we have Electrocharge, Forge, or Ascension. These are all decent. They're not bad. They're not amazing. You could pretty much go with any of them. I opt to go for the Forge, but let's see what we get. We get a Eternal Winter, Randuin Sanctum, or Black Cleaver. These are not the best options. Sanctum's really good in the early game, or if you have a lot of other tank items. We really only have one tank item, and then Eternal Winter is okay, and then Black Cleaver, we already have a Last Whisper, so it's pretty much useless. On Carousel, we could go for either a sword or a Negatron. We opt for the sword. Maybe it's a bit of a mistake because you do want a lot of tank items whenever you have Randuins because Randuins buffs up your primary tank even more. But finishing a Giant Slayer isn't horrible either. We finally get a Senna so we could put in 2 Sure Shot. And notice how we had Sivir Pair from stage 1-3 or something like that. But we were not able to find the 2-star Sivir. That is really unfortunate. The coping mechanism we have right now is, since we got to level 7 on stage 3-5 and we still have above 30 gold with the Cluttered Mind, we could still hit Samira pretty early, so we're still in a decent spot here, even if Samira is like heavily contested, because she's always going to be contested every single game in this meta. We end up beating this player here, so we get up to 30 gold, and we're pretty chilling at this point. We're still going to fast state probably on 4-2 and roll it down there. Next shop here, we do get the Samira, so Sivir 1 is worse than Samira 1, so we just sell her, buy the Samira, put her in, drop the items on her. We do end up winning the next round. Let's see what we get from Wolf Camp. And we do get a decent amount of items here. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 components, so that's pretty good. Nothing to quite complain about. The only thing I will complain about is that people are hitting their upgrades. One person got Bel'Veth 2, one person got the Kai'Sa 2, but we're waiting around because we have like this. There's a Sejuani 2 right there. We have Cluttered Mind, so we really want to get to level 8 and have the rolling odd advantage over other people. We end up getting rocked in this round. I guess not rocked, but it's not actually, no. Looking at the units, it looked okay at first, but then like this guy's got Zac 2, Cho'Gath 2, very, very powerful stuff, Kai'Sa 2, and we really just don't have any 2-stars on our team. We get wrecked here because it's a 3-3-3 hero augment. If there was a 4 cost here or even a 5 cost, I'm pretty sure we just like guarantee like a pretty good placement because we'd have Samira Pair most likely. And then at level 8, like we could sell some stuff to roll a bunch more gold. Like you're probably gonna have a pretty decent chance of hitting Samira 2, especially since no one else has hit Samira 2 yet. And unfortunately, that's just not there for us. I think a mistake here is I should have waited till 4-5 though, so I will admit that here. I think I got a little too excited, and because we faced someone really weak and we also didn't make our board that much stronger from like leveling up, we didn't add in like a really clutch unit or anything. It just really wasn't worth it to level up yet. We should have waited 2 more rounds. We probably would have had 40 gold to roll down with. I think I got scared because some players were just going to hit Samira randomly, so I wanted to get like a couple of rolls in at level 8 before that, but perhaps that is a mistake. We do end up losing here, so it's really bad. This guy's 50 gold, so it's just like, what the hell. We roll down 10 gold, and we do hit an Urgot, so I am going to try to fit him in here. We want to use core formation from our Senna, and because of that, a lot of people end up playing 2 Sennas whenever they have this. I'm not saying it's the best thing ever, but it definitely is usable to kind of hold your team in the mid game. Unfortunately, we face a guy with 40 gold, Bel'Veth 2, and he's got multiple 2-star tanks, and he's just like a lot stronger than us. It's really unfortunate because like, I mean, he's win streaking, he's got a lot of gold, and he's got 2-star Bel'Veth already. Like even if we win this round, he's in a really good shape for like the rest of the game here. And we're still not Senna Pair, so that is really worrying because we're at 0 gold. We do have this Urgot, so hopefully he kind of saves us a little bit, but it's not looking that bright here. I know we could have slammed the Giant Slayer, but it ends up not really affecting any of these fights that we just had. And there's an Aphelios right there, but unfortunately, I'm just off the HP threshold to be first pick. So if someone else gets him, I'm literally off by 1 HP. That is really unfortunate in my opinion. But we probably want defensive item. There's a Sejuani with a belt here. You could go for that. We do end up taking it, and we could build like a redemption. It does also give us a Sejuani pair, so if we do ever hit the Sejuani 2, that would be a pretty big upgrade for our team. So we're going to roll down pretty much every single turn just for any upgrade to our front line, because like Alistar 2, no synergy, Blitzcrank, not really going to cut it in most cases. But we do hold on to the Sennas because Senna's like double Senna is good enough to kind of stabilize in a lot of cases if you have a decent tank. But I don't know. I'm pressing my D key. I feel like it's not doing as much as it should. Like this guy hits Samira 2 at level 7. Like Samira 2, Senna 2, Sivir 2. He still has 30 gold. Like it feels like a little rigged, you know? Because you also have to keep in mind, look at his augments. He's got Portable Forge and Sure Shot emblem. We have Cluttered Mind. So Cluttered Mind is an econ augment, so it's supposed to give us more gold. We should have more gold than everyone else. And we do have that. The issue is that if you don't hit with the econ augment, it doesn't matter how much more gold you have. Like some games you just don't hit, and this just happened to be one of them. And we don't even hit like the 2 Senna 2s or even the Courtesy of Felios. And I scouted around. We're pretty much the only player without Samira 2. This player doesn't have Samira 2, but every other player had it. And the difference between me and him is he has Sedge 2. Like, we don't have a single 2-star tank apart from Alistar and Blitz, which just are not crucial. Alistar has no synergy, and Blitzcrank is a Blitzcrank. Situation looking kind of bleak. Let's do some in-game audio for the fun. Felios, like, well, what is this? I'm the only one without it both games. I have cluttered bench, whatever the fuck it's called. Like, holy shit, I don't even have a fucking pair. Like, holy cow. Here we get a bunch of items. Like, we're gonna go defensive because we need to complement our Randuins. I actually go for the tier there, but I think belt is a little bit better. We do get the Courtesy of Felios finally, but without Samira 2, are we supposed to sell the Samira? Like, I don't really know, because we don't end up hitting anything else. And we don't even get like double Senna or anything. Like, what are we supposed to run here? I really don't know. Was it supposed to be sell the Samira, itemize the Aphelios? I do need to pick up that Sedge. We ended up hitting like a lot of pairs of our 4-cost tanks, but not completing any of them. So it's just like really, really unfortunate. We opt for a healing item and a GS on our Aphelios, but it's just like a little too late, because this guy's Samira 2. He has the Aphelios also. But this guy has clear bench, pretty much the same augment as us, but like he just gets the hit and we don't. Like, what are we supposed to do? In-game audio time. Yep, everyone has Samira 2. Jesus Christ, like 3, 6, 9. Pretty much what I'm typing is everyone else has Samira 2. Robin says like, I have Jax 2, I don't have one Samira. But the difference is, like, he got his Sedge 2 pretty early, and it's what we said before. We have Cluttered Mind. He has full combat augments. He has Sunfire Board, Second Wind, and it just means, like, he has less gold. So it's like, if one person were to have one Samira and one person were to have 0 Samiras, I should probably be the one with 1 Samira and him with 0. So the logic just doesn't really make sense to me. He probably gets it, but, like, everyone's just tilted in this tournament, especially if you go 8-8. I did decide to watch a replay because we had plenty of time to kind of just see what went wrong. But like, what other comp are you supposed to do? There are no AD champions in the game except for Samira, Bel'Veth, and Aphelios. And no, we're not going to count Zed as an AD champion because he really just is good because of his traits, not because he is good as a unit. So that's what people mean by like Samira bingo. We played it twice. Maybe we could have gotten a 7th in one of those games. I don't really know. Those were pretty rough. At this point, if you guys want to do the math on how to qualify for the next round, I need to average a 2.5 at this point in the next 4 games, which again, on ladder, it is possible. It's hard on ladder to do that. But especially against like good players, like look at this lobby. We have the winner of Defender Cup and we have the highest ranked player on ladder, or one of. It's just like, it's really hard to just go average 2.5 in the rest of the games. Do you know what's even funnier? I'm not even the unluckiest Samira player in this tournament, because there's this one guy. He was one of the top LP players going into the tournament, and he just rage quit out of it and completely forfeited at 60 life total in one game. Essentially what happens is he gets the Samira augment, picks up the orb, but all the Samiras were out of the pool already, so he just gets 4 gold instead. After that, he lost the next fight, rolled it down, maybe trying to get the Aphelios, and then rage quit the tournament. It is a shame because he was supposed to be one of the players to watch. If you guys were watching Frodam's stream, I believe he said that this guy has like 2 accounts that were very, very high up. I think like 1400 plus LP, and he was one of the highest LP players going into the event. But in this tournament, you cannot forfeit because it's against the rules. And the reason why is because it's like makes the game messed up for all the other players, right? And you also like are not supposed to drop out. He's probably going to get banned from future events, but it is what it is. It could be really frustrating to do that. He went 7-7 and then that game happened. But it just goes to show what the Samira lottery can do to certain players. So this game, we're going to do something completely different. So I took Battle Mage as the augment. The other choices were Combat Training and Ascension. And at this point, I was just like, you know what, screw it. I had a pretty good start for the Yuumi comp. So what do you guys consider good starts? Because in my guides, I often say like, hey, you can only play this comp if you have a good start. Well, in this case, it was having 5 units that belonged in the Yuumi comp. So we had 2 Malphites, 2 GPs, and a Rel to start the game, and we had the Battle Mage augment. Battle Mage is a best in slot augment, and you combine that with an econ start. This was just like a pure reroll game, especially since we had 5 copies of units that we need. We have a bow and a rod, so you want to finish off the Titan's Resolve because that's really the only item bow can build, so we go for the Chain Vest here. Here we get a Lee Sin and a Rel. They are good units that we want, but they're not like the critical units. They're not the Yuumi, they're not the Nyla, so we're not quite home free yet. Also, I know the chat is blocked. They have these overlays and it blocks the default place where the chat normally is. At the start of the game, you may have noticed, you may have not because I was talking about something else at the start, but as soon as the augments popped up, I pretty much auto-clicked on Battle Mage, and then right after that, I type in the chat meow, or I put cat, something like that, and it's just to claim the comp. So the higher elo you go, or if you're like the lower elo in the lobby, it's up to other people to flex out of what you're doing. So maybe it scared people off of the comp, maybe it didn't, who really knows, but you definitely don't want to play some comps contested. Since I started 8-8, people might look at me and be like, oh, this guy doesn't care, so I don't want to get griefed on purpose. By the way, we 5 loss streaked, which is extremely good, and I did happen to level up here to level 5. Normally, like, you don't, if you can help it, but because I don't want to die to Krugs, and like after going 8-8 and then die to Krugs, that's like a 3rd 8th in a row. So I leveled up. I probably could have beat it without it. Actually, looking at the end result, I don't really know, but we get a level 5 shop. But we have Misfortune and Talia here for some reason. They're not that great. I mean, I'll play her for a round, whatever, but we're really just going to go for the Nyla comp. But overall, how have you guys felt whenever you call a comp versus not call a comp? Do you feel like you get contested more when you call for it or less? It might depend on the elo you're in, and it might not be such thing as like high elo versus low elo. It might just be random pockets, you know, like maybe gold 3, if you say it a lot, like people will contest you, but maybe gold 2, people don't. Like it could be something as random as that, and there also probably is a bunch of regional differences too. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, like if you do call your comp, do you find yourself more contested or less contested than if you don't? Maybe mention your rank and rating as well. So here we get garbage options. High-end shopping, we're re-rolling, so we want to re-roll level 6 for the Yuumi comp. Completely useless. We would have loved this in the Samira games. Electrocharge, it's doable. Knife's Edge, useless. So I'm feeling a reroll. We reroll it. And then we get more garbage. Curse Crown, Future Sight, Windfall, no thanks. We're forced to take the Windfall. So we do have like 35 gold to roll with extra. Let's see what we get. We're at 85 gold, level 6. We get a Lee Sin, we get a Rel, we get 2 Yuumis. We're rolling down to 50. It was good at first, and then I guess we get another Lee Sin. But where is Nyla? Nyla is what really stabilizes a comp. I mean, at least we got Yuumi, but Yuumi really is not the important piece here. Nyla is the most important part because she's going to be our item holder. So we have this Titan's Resolve, but we're going to end up putting it on the Lulu because that's the only unit we could sell off. We do get a lot stronger, but like normally you get this board without needing Windfall on 3-2. Like something similar to this. Maybe like 1 less 2-star, but it's really not that great. I feel like we just picked a Prismatic and we just don't have it anymore. We really wanted a hero augment there. Like Nyla would be best, Yuumi, Rel, anything like that. We take a fat L here, and I would do the in-game audio, but honestly, I was so demoralized that it isn't even funny to listen to. I'm not even yelling or screaming or anything. It's just like, you know what, let's just listen to it anyways. And then we don't hit. Yay! Essentially, all I really wanted was one Nyla because she's gonna hold onto the Titan's Resolve and like probably our next item on this carousel. I'm not even asking for a 2-star Nyla here, but we rolled like maybe 40 or 50 gold at this point, and at level 6, you probably should hit one Nyla, right? That's just me. There are, those roll downs where you do for recon on 3-2, you roll down maybe like 40 gold to 10 gold, and you hit like Kaisa 2, Vayne 2, Rammus 2. I just need a Nyla 1. She's the main item holder, and a lot of people think this is a Yuumi comp, and I used to think that too, but it's really a Nyla comp. She's really the powerhouse here. The good thing about this comp is that if you do hit everything, you will win the game, and it's just unfortunate that we can't, like, we have an Ionic Spark, Titan's Resolve on our Lulu right now. It's really not where you want to be, and remember, we do need a 2.5 in 4 games, so it's like 2-2-3-3, 1-1-4-4, things like that. Like, that's the scoreline we need in order to advance. And it's really hard to just like automatically get that, even when you're playing on ladder. Even if you make a Smurf account, that's not guaranteed to happen either. So it's just whatever we got to do, and we're down to Prismatic right now. If that was Think Fast, we probably would have won the game already. But I just want to show you guys how ridiculous this game is. Like, we've rolled down every single turn. Like, we still don't have our Nyla. I'm rolling very slowly because I'm like, am I missing her? But it's just like, clearly not. We finally get her right at the end of stage 3. And that's just like 3 rounds of just not having her. It's just really bad because like she was our primary item holder as well. Also, keep in mind, it's probably going to be Hero Augment on 4-2. In fact, I think it always is. And with that in mind, we could get really, really screwed. If people get 4 or 5 cost augments, they get their Samiras before we kind of spike, and we could be in pretty big trouble in that case. We are also at 29 HP right now. We're about to go another fast 8th, and we're going to build the Gunblade on Yuumi because you don't really want to use the sword for anything else. Shojin is fine, but obviously blue buff's a lot better, so we also build the JG. We also just need to just build as many items as we can because, like, again, 29 health, it's just not where you want to be. We're going to face off this next guy. He's got Bel'Veth. He's trying to cash out Underground, so it's actually really good that we face him right now because that means we won't face him after he cashes out. So we get decent matchmaking RNG here. I haven't really paid attention to the matchmaking in the previous rounds. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you get unlucky. In this case, it is lucky. Even if we end up losing this, it's still nice to face him now because he probably would have destroyed us later on after the cash out. Unless we magically hit all our 3 stars in that time. The good news is, even though we only have 1-star Nyla still, we do have a lot of copies of all the other guys. But we get completely bailed out here. 3-3-3 Augment, and finally Mortdog comes to our blessing, and we're going to take this Jubilant Veil. It's just the best one here. It's better than the other Nyla Augment for this comp because you have everyone so close up to the front, so you really just don't want them to get CC'd at all. It's just incredibly good. We get a lot of copies here. We don't need to all in yet. We're at 29 health, but my logic was we're so close to pretty much everything that we should just go for it. We do give up on the Gangplank here, so I sell him, and you have to be very careful. You have to pick up the champion from the orb first and then buy it from your shop. If not, it won't let you pick up the orb. So there's our 2-star Nyla, but I'm like 1 off on a lot of other things, so I do roll down to 30 just to see if we could hit. A lot of people, they either all in with reroll comps or they only slow roll, but there's also an in-between. And we do that right here. This is a great example of it. If you have a lot of copies or like one-off certain things, you could roll down to like maybe 40, 30, depending on how close you are. And if you hit, great, stop rolling. But if you don't always want to go down to 0 because with this comp especially, you need to hit everything. So we need to wait till our last life. And if you do hit, you will win every round. So it doesn't matter if we have 100 life or if we have 1 life. I decide to roll down to, I believe, 20 here, and we do hit the Yuumi 3, so just in time there, and now we definitely chill. Normally when I play this comp, I think Redemption's the best item, and we do have a tier, and there's a 5-cost belt, so we could take that, but since we have the 3-star Yuumi, I'm down to just blue buff her. In a lot of situations, I typically want to itemize whoever's 3-starred, and because she just is already, I want to power spike a little harder here, and we're facing a spread shot Vayne. Some people consider this the second best augment in the game right now, but like we just have all our upgrades. So this fight, it looks close because like we only beat him by 2 units, but this Yuumi just is going to destroy everything now, especially with Battle Mage. On 5-1, we get another tier, we get a glove, and then let's see what we get here. No tank item for Rell. That's really unfortunate, so I end up just hand adjusting my Rell. I don't know if that's the best option, but all these kind of suck. So what's the best of the worst situation? I think it's that because it gives her a little bit of healing. She does do a lot of damage already, so any healing on her works out pretty well. We're also going to all in here. We're really close to Rell, really close to Nilah. So if we get Nilah 3, I believe the stats say that Nilah 3 plus Yuumi 3 is like a 2.5 or like 2.2 average placement. It's incredibly strong, but we're literally one off everything. So if I waited one turn, and I got impatient here, maybe we shouldn't have rolled. It's not even a hindsight thing. It's the fact that like you really just need to hit everything. And as I said before, it doesn't matter if you have 1 life or 100. So at 21 life in stage 5, you definitely have 2 lives. You could take 2 losses for sure. So I should have just waited till next loss before rolling down. Because if we just wait a little bit, we will hit everything, you know? And yeah, I think I got a little impatient there. So that's like a small mistake. Maybe it's a panic mistake. We get a good hit there on the Rell. Not the main item holder, but we face a Samira 2, a Aphelios 2 right now. Holy cow, with an Urgot 1. Luckily, Urgot doesn't do much against us because we have Jubilant Veil. But what does Aphelios 2 and Samira 2 have on this comp? Nothing. We literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-0 him. Like, holy cow. People don't believe the power of the Yuumi, but this is a prime example of it. Forgot to pop the item off. So as I say in the in-game audio, I did forget to pop the Hand of Justice off, but it's not the end of the world. There is a bug this patch. It's like a legal bug to use in a tournament where you could pop off items if you complete them upgraded on your bench. So we could have popped off the Hand of Justice on our Nilah there, but honestly, she's doing a lot of work with it. So you normally want to put Hand of Justice or healing items on units who deal a lot of damage. And if you look at the damage charts, it ends up being that a lot is being done by Nilah, so it's actually not bad that we have it on her, especially when she's 3-starred now. Let's go into the in-game audio, though. My mind's telling me Thieves Rell, but my body's telling me Thieves Lee. I could greed tank items on Rell. The thing is, the game's about to end because everyone's so low, so I'll just put it on Rell. If I could get 2 tank items on Rell, that means I need to wait for this and then the carousel next. Alright, this is the coping game. This game is the one that like thinks we could still make it through, but it's gonna still be rough. Because even if we get first, like we still need to average like a 3.0 or something. But yeah, essentially, even if we win this game, like we'd go 8-8-1 so far, which is not good at all. Let's pretend it wasn't as like polarized or something like that. It's going 8-8-1 is the same as going like 5-6-6. If I went 5-6-6, do you guys think I would be happy? Do you guys think I would be like, oh, I have a chance to qualify? I wouldn't, you know, it's a very bad situation, but we are in the top 3 here. We pick up a Bloodthirster just to get a random shield on someone. I do end up reforging it and then regretting it because it got me a Rage Blade, which is absolutely useless. We're facing off against, what is he? A Aphelios player, but he's playing Jax. I don't really know. This guy's pretty weak. I don't know how he made it to the top 3. Because there's some pretty strong players in this game before, but I guess it is what it is. I mean, we make easy work of him because we have Rell 3, like Rell 3 or Nilah 3. I mean, Nilah 3 is just so completely nuts. Like, she's doing almost as much damage as Yuumi when she's a tank. I decide to level up, drop in a Janna. Janna's pretty good in this comp because we have so many people grouped up already. So no matter what her bonus is, she's always going to be worth at least something. We face the Aphelios 2 guy again. He's now got 3 items on his Aphelios, 3 items on his Samira. He's got a 2-star Urgot, 2-star Nunu, 3 items on him. So he's been farming items with the Urgot. And the fight's just not even close. It's just, holy cow. Knock him out of the game. He was the only threat to us. And then this guy loses to the Ghost, so we pick up a free dub there. Bailed out by 333. See, I know when I get lucky. We got bailed out by 333 really, really hard. I recognize luck too. I recognize both luckiness and unluckiness. And then we just... Windfall was kind of BS, though, because we rolled 30 gold, we hit like 2 units or something. Looking at the standings now, yeah, some people were pretty low on theirs. Like, there's some 8-8s. We were ranked 46. We need to be top 32, and we have 10 points with 3 games to go. We need to get 18 points still. That's an average of a 3.0. I tune in into my friend Cottontail. He won the last cup, the Defender Cup, and I tell him to switch to the Bun Bun. He was using Chibi Annie, but I feel like someone named Cottontail, you gotta switch to the Bun Bun Little Legend. He was feeling pretty down. He's been playing Valorant all week. He already qualified for mid-set, and he was not doing too hot this tourney so far, so kind of wanted to cheer him up a little bit, and he was in my lobby. In game number 4, we end up getting a sword start, and we get a bunch of talents here, which is kind of funny. The Bun Bun thing is relevant later on, by the way. So Knife's Edge, Item Grab Bag, and Battle Mage, but we don't want to run it back. See, we got Battle Mage offered twice, but we have a completely different team from before. Battle Mage is still useful for stuff like Viego, but do you really want to play Viego in this meta? Yeah, it's okay to do, but you only want to do it from like a high roll spot. So instead we opt for the Item Grab Bag, and we end up getting an Infinity Edge, which is really, really good because that is one of Samira's best item, and we have a glove, and we have a Vayne to item hold. Holy cow, this is looking pretty spicy. I was debating slamming a Zeke's, that's why I'm positioned all the way in the back like this. I opt not to. I probably should have, though. I think it's actually a decent item, but instead we build the Guard Breaker because I do want to get one item out there. And you don't want to put Guard Breaker on Talon because he often hits the back line. So because of that, you put the Guard Breaker on Vayne. So we kind of have 2 carries going on here. I do want to get some Anima stacks, but not able to because we don't have 3 Anima. That's why you don't really want to force that comp like ever. But this build isn't doing like that badly, you know? We end up barely losing this fight. Thrill the Hunt does some dirty stuff, but maybe if we slam the item earlier, oh wait, no, we do win. Very nice. We get Sylas 2 here. There are always a lot of fights where I like regret not slamming an item, and then I end up losing the fight by like 1 HP, and I'm like, hey, if I slammed, I would have won. But we face an AFK guy here, so that's pretty good. We end up just getting a 2 streak. Unfortunately, no Anima squad yet, so we don't get stacks quite yet. We win the next round. This last carousel, we go for a tier. We could build a Spear of Shojin with that. Great for Vayne, great for MF, great if you're going Anima. I end up slamming it, so you guys may have noticed already, like, why didn't I just go Samira? I probably should have this game. That's the truthful answer to it. I was a little tilted from the earlier games, but you shouldn't let tilt affect your play, and I definitely let it affect my play here. I'm pretty sure this still was a Samira game. We should have slammed the Zeke's and then just saved the glove for a Last Whisper. I think that would have been a perfectly fine line. But we lose here, so we don't get to streak. Really bad there. We ended up winning the last round, so we could have 5 streak barely. We get a chain, we get a sword, and then last thing from Krugs is a tier. So not too bad of items. I go ahead and slam Shiv because I planned on going some sort of Misfortune comp. It's really just a good combo. You could just do Shojin Shiv, Guard Breaker on MF, and then she's pretty much complete already. You could even put the IE on her. It's really not bad. But ideally, Vayne holds the IE because like she does better with physical compared to the MF, but like it doesn't really matter. You just need 3 items on MF, and you should be chilling. Vayne you kind of use as like a temporary carry. You could full carry her if you get spread shot, but that hasn't happened yet. If there's a hero augment this round, we definitely will go for it. But whenever you play Anima, it's mainly going to revolve around the MF carry. Instead, we get silver augments, Electrocharge, Future Sight, Stand United. If I'm going vertical Anima, Stand United's useless. Electrocharge, meh. Future Sight, I'm too lazy to use when I'm like pretty much out of the running already. So we just go for Second Wind. Just overall average augment fits in everything. Level up to 6, put an Alistair or something like that, or maybe like the Camille for admin. I think the admin was like gain attack speed. It was pretty bad. I don't remember what it is. But our Talon's actually kind of smurfing. He jumps to the back, immediately kills people. Jumps to the Poppy, kills her too. Like the Shojin, IE, Shiv, Talon, like it's obviously not the best item combo, but he's actually smacking pretty hard with it. You always got to find like random item holders. Oh, the Camille was in because of Renegade, that's why. But we end up losing the next round, and we have a chain, so we want a Sunfire here. There's a 4-cost belt right there, so we grab that. We also see a Viego here. It's pretty interesting. I'm thinking maybe we should have ran him, but we end up selling the Talon to put an Anima squad. Probably a mistake in hindsight. We lost those last 2 rounds. We hit Jinx 2 here. We put all our items on Vayne. We're going to just use Vayne as our item holder. We get a bunch of gold. We level up to 7 here. Definitely want to roll, get Vayne 2, hopefully MF1, things like that. We see... Unfortunate. It's just the wrong game for Aphelios right now. I mean, I guess there was a chance to pivot back into it, but I wasn't interested in it. And we see the Samira there. But honestly, like we have so many of the other units, and we don't have like best in slot items for the other people, so it's not like that worth to kind of get into. Zack's pretty useful in any team right now. He's just probably one of the best random slam tanks right now. So a couple of item options here. You could build the Giant Slayer because we're itemizing 2 carries potentially because we have 5 damage items right now. And save the belt for defensive. You could ZZ Rot here. It is possible. Is it what I would like? I feel like an Anima squad, especially if I'm running Zac, we already have so many people up front, so we'd be pretty weak into AoE. I guess we sold the Zac, but I probably should have kept him. In hindsight, I went for the gold instead, but I don't think that's correct. Augment time 343. So we are looking for MF. We are looking for reverberation. We are looking for maybe the back for blood. Like we could back for blood it. And then I didn't even realize Cottontail was playing Anima Squad as well. So we both went Anima Squad, and it makes sense because I told him to go for the Bun Bun Little Legend. So I can't really blame him for going Anima Squad because we both stopped caring. You may have noticed that I did skip Reverberation. I think the reason why I skipped it was because on this Vayne, like we had Vayne pair, so just getting the third Vayne means we don't have to roll that much or at all actually. So it just gives like a big power spike to our team, and it's just a really good augment. Obviously you'd prefer an MF here, but it is what it is. MF is better for late game. This is better for like the mid game, and we get a good win here. We went against two Samira players, and then we go for the belt here because we really need some defensive items. I did really want the spatula, but it's so greedy to go for spatula at this point because if you only have 2-star Riven, Warmogs is an incredibly good item on any 2-star tank. Generally, when you 3-star someone, you don't want Warmogs, but it doesn't look like we're 3-starring her this game. Also, Cottontail hit MF2 at this point in the game. So the game's looking a little rough, but we do have Spread Shot. It is like one of the best augments in the game right now. So even in a 3-3-4, it's still pretty good. I would have preferred maybe getting Bunny Mercenary. He has the Make It Rain one, so it's a support one. So it's not giving any combat stats. It's mainly just for gold in the late game. But we do get a nice win there because of that. Pretty much in stage 3 and 4, Spread Shot is just one of the most powerful things ever. Like, you guys are just watching it in action. By the way, against AoEs, like, notice how I have 2 carries in the back row on the right side and Vayne's alone on the left. You want to get her away from the AoE units. So that's one way to, or one trick to kind of get away from AoEs. And we do get another solid one here. Perfect stage 4, very nice. For the in-game audio, I actually thought I made a mistake in-game. So, you know how we went for Warmogs? I actually think we should have went for a Zeke's Herald, because I don't know if you guys are watching these fights, but we're ending the fights almost instantly. That makes Zeke's like a really good item, because when the fights last so short, you're going to get a ton of value from it, and she's just going to one-tap people before like their team can ramp up. Pretty much like all these fights that we watched so far after we got Spread Shot, we finish the fight, we win, and then we watch other people's fights. That's how like short they're lasting. We don't even reach anywhere close to overtime. If people had Ascension or the Echo Augment, it would probably barely matter in some of these fights. This player has 2-star Sedge, 2-star Zac, Urgot with 3 items, a TG Fiddle with decent items off the TG, and this Vayne is just popping them. Like, we have 1-star MF. We don't really have any 2-star 4-cost tanks. We just have this Riven in the front. We don't even have like that many Anima stacks because we kind of didn't start stacking from like the very, very beginning. We don't have 7 Anima from spatulas or anything like that. Our team is like pretty average looking. Oh, sorry. We do have the 2-star Echo. I forgot about that. But it's still less than the 2-star Sedge, 2-star Zac that the other person had. We get a little unlucky here. I believe this fight, I was scouting his Zed and I swapped and he swapped as well, or maybe I didn't move and then he also didn't move, something like that. Because in these tournaments, you expect people to move a lot, but we definitely would have won if we were on the other side. It's just like a little unfortunate. You can't win every matchup RNG. It actually affects us a lot because we were on a win streak, so we do lose out on a lot of gold. There is an MF there, so I'm going to grab her. I do the bug thing where I put her on my bench, complete her, pop off the Titan's Resolve, and then put the Titans on my Riven. And I also sell my Jinx, and I put in Recon because 3 Recon gives a lot of crit to your Vayne. You'll see that these fights she pops off even harder than she has before, and we drop down to 3 Anima. It might seem a little weird, and we also lose Prankster on our Echo, but when she does crit on these spells, it just hits like that much harder because it's like always critting, right? I think it is stronger because if you were to pick in a vacuum, like if you have Spread Shot, what would you rather have? 7 Anima or 4 Recon? You'd rather have 4 Recon. MF is barely able to not clean up there, but it's okay. The main reason why we're losing these fights is because we're not spending our gold. We're really greeding just for level 9 because we had a pretty healthy health total before. And also, like, we wanted to slow roll at level 8 for Vayne 3. That is definitely the win con of this build. But we didn't natural any Vaynes and we were like semi-contested. So that's why we opted not to do that. But overall, we're still doing fine. We're going to go into stage 6 pretty healthy and just get like a clean level 9. We get some pretty bad options off this item armory. We have to just build Hand of Justice. Like, you just want a third MF item, and none of these really help at all. What the fuck? I actually get the stone plate to put on Echo. That's trolling. It's for sure MF item. Level up and roll time. So nothing. Man, this really was a Samira game. We saw so many of her. What are we even rolling for? I guess like the 2-star. We want Jinx back. Once we have Jinx back in, like maybe we could 5 Animas better. But we do take out some of the bruisers and the fiddle for 5 anima. Maybe that's a mistake. Honestly, not really too sure. But I do know that like having 3 recon is really important because getting a lot of crit on your Vayne just makes her like pop off that much harder. Because again, the recon build is better than the anima squad build just because she hits that much harder. Obviously, it's also nice because you could 3-star her easier in the recon build, but it is what it is. We end up losing this fight. I mean, he's got Urgot 2, Viego 2. He has the Ox4 spat, which is one way to really cap out those comps. This is probably like one of the few Viegos that we'll see in this tournament. But yeah, we roll down. We're trying to hit the 2-star legendaries, maybe the 2-star Sedge, get more tankiness out there. Maybe hit the Jinx back so we could throw her in to get Prankster, because that's pretty big too. This is a Laser Core emblem player. I believe he's only 7 Laser Core. Maybe he's 5. No, I think he's 7 because he has Mordekaiser. But we're able to make pretty good work of him this time. His Zed does jump to the right side again, but I believe this fight our MF actually is able to finish it off. Actually, no, we lose 2 fights because we don't position correctly against him. That's actually really bad. We're in our final roll down. I believe we only pick up an Ezreal 2 here, but it's better than nothing, I guess, because any upgrade is better than no upgrades. But yeah, typically you want 4 recon or you do 3 with an IE. Obviously, 4 recon's better because then you could have 3 full damage items on Vayne. You probably want like a Deathblade with her. We faced this really strong guy, which really sucks. He's got a lot of 2-star legendaries. We faced him before, but we are able to kill off an okay amount of units, nothing that crazy. And then we end up getting a 3rd there. So that's pretty much expected. The other players were much stronger. We did not have Vayne 3. And maybe I should have gone the Hand of Justice on MF. I think even if we positioned correctly against a Zed player 2 fights in a row, we probably still would have gone 3rd just because the other boards were that much stronger. The cap out of the Anima squad comp is really going for 7 Anima or playing a bunch of legendaries or 3-star Riven, 3-star Vayne, and we just didn't have that. We were also contested at the start, but you know, it is what it is. A 3rd keeps us in this because we needed to average 3, 3, 3, 3 in the last 3 games. But now we're on the last 2 games and we still need to average 3.0. So we get the early LeBlanc. Let's check the admin. Not that great. Not that great. So we go for the healing one. For LeBlanc, you definitely want like the Ally on Death mana or something like that. That's just the best one. Maybe just flat AP at the start of the fight's pretty good too. Pretty much anything with AP is good. So Battle Mage, Gadgettine, Ludens. Can we do the same Yuumi build? Doesn't really look like it. I really wanted a Laser Core game because we had this Renekton. Battle Mage is interesting though because you could pair it up with the LeBlanc, but I think this is a reroll. We didn't have a strong start for any of these. We're going to go for the Forge here. Maybe get a tank item Flex, Anima Visage, Trinity Force, or Zhonya's Paradox. So Pakigam told me Trinity Force is OP, but I think this game I didn't listen to him because the reason why it's OP is because it's really good with Samira, and we should have probably picked it because looking at this, we have Gunblade and half a Last Whisper. So why am I not picking up Trinity Force to get best in slot Samira? It's really confusing to me. I think I was a little tilted still from the earlier Samira game, so I just wanted to swear off of her. Definitely not optimal play, but we slam the Gunblade anyways, drop it on LeBlanc. She'll just be our item holder for now because we don't really plan on keeping her. But yeah, we have like perfect items for her and we still don't go for it. That's how tilted I was from the early LeBlanc games. But we did, or not LeBlanc, the early Samira games. But yeah, I don't really know. Everyone says Samira's a meta. I think it's the meta too, even without other people saying it. But at the end of the day, like, what can you do? If like everyone's going for it and everyone else is hitting, it just doesn't feel like your day sometimes. That combined with like all my comfort comps are not Samira. It's like the Anima squad, it's the Sorakas, it's the Talias. They're just not that meta right now. And it's just really a shame. One tech that I didn't really use this tournament, but is pretty decent, is actually Brawlers. A lot of people underestimate Jax right now. He's actually pretty decent. So do keep that in mind. There's always other stuff that's playable other than like the main comps in the meta. We did win our first 3 rounds, so we're going to go into this last carousel. And look, we probably could have gotten that glove for Last Whisper. A little unfortunate. We grab a tier. It's on a Sona. I'm probably feeling maybe some AP right now. I do end up selling the Sona to play 4 Brawler because 4 Brawler in the early game, especially with Anima Visage, is really, really strong. So we just go for the win streak instead. I would like to keep that Sona in most cases, but some games you're just not able to hold on to everything that you want. This team should be pretty easy win. Like, you can't maul through a Brawler board in stage 2 with an Anima Visage. It's like very, very few teams can do that. You need like very high single target damage, and that's pretty much it. We are on a 4-game win streak, but unfortunately, we face this guy with 2 Jaxes with scope weapons, so what can you even do against that, you know? They have good single target damage, which is good against the Renekton that we have, and so we just end up losing this fight. And he also has Yasuo 2 to top that off. We really only have 1 2-star. So I guess it was already a miracle that we won 4 games in the first place. Not really, since like 4 Brawler is really, really good. But yeah, this guy is just like that much stronger. We get a belt, but obviously I'm pissed because like I felt like if you just win streak, you pretty much have a free game. We do get a Sunfire Cape here, so that's really huge. Okay, I might be exaggerating a little bit. It's not like a completely free game, but you like pretty much guarantee top 6 if you win streak. It's pretty hard not to. We do get a LeBlanc too, which is really big. We get it on 3-1, so we are giga high rolling right now. So that's obviously exactly what I wanted at this point in time because we were struggling so much early on. It's hero augment time though, so it's a 2-3-3. We want like a LeBlanc one maybe, because maybe we could do LeBlanc reroll. Not mirror image, I'd prefer the other one, but Unrelenting, can we take that? Aim assist, the admin's not that good, so maybe we don't even want that one because it's the heal every couple seconds one. So I end up just YOLOing this last reroll. Is it a mistake? I actually don't know at this point. But we end up hitting the best augment in the game. We get Cleansing Safeguard, and then, you know, sometimes we are rewarded. Oh, by the way, don't pick up the orb, the Lee Sin orb, whenever you take this, because you want to just play 2 Lee Sins, and it's actually stronger than having a Lee Sin 2. Granted, not right now, because I'm positioning terribly. I'll explain the positioning in the next fights. Essentially, like, for Brawler, you don't need that with this comp. But let's talk about the augment. Like, should I have taken the LeBlanc one? Like, I'm using LeBlanc as an item holder right now. What was I really looking for, though? I think maybe we're looking for Cleansing Safeguard, maybe Boxing Lessons, maybe some of the random threat ones. I know we skipped some of them. I think that's maybe what you want. Honestly, fuck it, Cleansing Safeguard, only out. I don't really know. It's pretty low chance to get it because it was a 2-3-3. But maybe Yasuo Spirit of the Exiles could have done well too. Okay, so the main thing why Lee Sin's strong, people don't understand why it is. It's because they shield each other. So you actually don't want a lot of brawlers. You want no front line. You just want them to be the front line and just run a bunch of backline. So that's why you don't actually want 4 brawlers when you play this. But I want to keep admin in. I want to keep Vi in because she's my only 2-star. So that's why they're in right now. But eventually we'll replace all of them. So we're facing against this guy. You'll see in just a bit, like the power doesn't come out yet because the Lee Sins need to shield each other. And they are going to fix this interaction, but look, Lee Sin shields the Vi, that's not what you want. The other Lee Sin shields the Blitz, and they are like still a little tanky, but I don't know if you guys noticed. One of the Lee Sin shielded the other Lee Sin, and then as that Lee Sin was taking damage, he was still gaining mana. Normally when the shield is up, they don't gain any mana, but when they shield each other, it removes the mana lock. So that's why you want to only run 2 Lee Sins as your front line, and that's why the comp's so strong. Another important thing is that you only want to focus on tank items for Lee Sin. A lot of people, they build the backline items, and that's just a mistake. I'm not going to call out who, but someone called out that even like one of the top players did not know how to play this properly, and therefore doesn't know why it's broken. This is a highly controversial topic because you'll have some people saying like it's not broken because the stats say it averages like something like above average, but nothing ridiculous. Like there are a ton of things that are above average. But I am telling you right now, in the hands of a good player who knows how to play the comp, and that is focusing only on tank items and also playing only 2 Lee Sins, 2 Lee Sin 2s is stronger than a Lee Sin 3. I'm just putting that out there. And you guys know how Bel'Veth just destroys everything in stage 3. Even 1-star Bel'Veth in stage 4 normally kills everything. Look at how tanky this guy is against this Bel'Veth. And it's because of this mana glitch. Our other Lee Sin keeps shielding him, and that way when he's in his shield, he still gains mana, so he could shield himself again. And Bel'Veth with a stacking Rage Blade should not be able to lose in stage 3 against a tank. It's just something that's not in the dictionary until now. Another thing a lot of players like to do that do know how to play this comp. Oh, look at this fight. Notice how Vi and Blitz ran away from each other. Watch the Lee Sins right now. They are just never going to die because they're going to perma shield each other and abuse the mana lock bug. That's why you want to spread out your other tanks. One of them did die there because Ace, you know. The way to counter this is to CC them and have high single target damage, but not every comp has that. That's why Bel'Veth should be good against this comp, but just isn't. But even despite all that, we still win. And this is Lee Sin 1, by the way. Normally, you roll down on 3-2 at level 6, and you get 2 Lee Sin 2 stars. None of these fights would even be close if I had that. And yeah, you get that, you fast 9, like the backline items, again, don't matter. Unfortunately, we get unlucky here. No tank items from this wolf drop, so pretty bad start. So this fight is going to show you why having tank items on both Lee Sins is so important. My weak Lee Sin ends up getting targeted first because I mispositioned. My strong Lee Sin should be on the outside so that he takes the brunt of the damage. Maybe we would have lost anyways, who really knows, but you don't want your weak Lee Sin tanking their main carry, which in this case is his Zed and his Vayne. Even though we lost that fight, you might think like, hey, it's not that OP, like this 1-star Vayne beat the board, but like you should have 2-star Lee Sin plus at least a 1-star Lee Sin, like 4 copies, but instead we only have 2 on our board right now. We're going to do something interesting here. We're going to take Brawler Crest. So a lot of times people like playing Blitzcrank or Sejuani to get the Brawler buff, and I'm going to tell you now, like, it messes up the positioning a lot sometimes. Like, not all the time, but sometimes it does. We get pretty good hits here, obviously, but we're going to end up playing 3 Lee Sins. And we don't need Brawlers anymore because we just don't. We have the Brawler Crest. So we're going to drop these guys in, and you guys will see something hilarious. So we're just going to Brawler, probably put it on Sona or LeBlanc, and then have the rest of the items on our Raka. I guess it's Daddy Lee Sin with his 2 sons or something like that. So we're not even in a good position against this guy. Our main Lee Sin is not tanking the Bel'Veth. But just look at these guys. This is a... Okay, I spent 6 gold on one Lee, 2 gold on another, 2 gold on another. So this is a 10 mana or 10 gold front line that we have right now. And I get it. He doesn't have like Bel'Veth 2 or anything. But like, if we had 2 Lee Sin 2s, that should not be able to tank a Bel'Veth 2, you know? And the fight's just like not even close. He killed 1 Lee Sin, and we have 3 of them. And he killed the weakest one. So yeah, it's just completely stupid. And this is precisely one of those situations where data doesn't say everything. Look, this guy, 2-star, Bel'Veth, Last Whisper to penetrate armor or whatever. Like, you guys seeing this? Yeah, this is one of those cases where data doesn't mean much. Like, people overvalue data so much in TFT. And if you don't know how to play the comp, and it's really good if you do know how to play it. Should the comp be nerfed or should it stay the same? Interesting debate to have for sure. Because I think if there are some interactions that, like, even if it's only a small percentage of players abusing it, it probably should be considered OP, even if the data only says it's slightly above average. The pro player that we're talking about that didn't know how to use the augment, using him as an example of why the augment is not OP because he didn't do well with it, is not a good example, because it's his fault for not reading a Reddit guide that's 2 weeks old, in my opinion. Like, at his level, he should know either how to play the comp from reading the guide or from one of his friends who read the guide, or like maybe his friend even found out how to play it in the first place and have him tell him sometime within 2 weeks. Because this isn't even a new tech. We knew about this last patch, and some people were non-believers, some people were abusing it. Some people were playing it wrong, even at high levels, and it's like, that's their fault for just not knowing. It's like, it still should be changed, in my opinion, because this is so stupid. We're just chilling at 80% health, and like, we didn't really do that much this game. Like, we barely rolled. We even rolled on 3-2, and I believe we missed. I think we rolled like a couple times or something like that. I don't actually remember, but like, I watched Dish Soap use this augment, I believe 4 times, and he did not get below 3rd place in any of those games, and it wasn't even close, even when he was contested. Now you might be thinking, obviously the best player on the server, or people who consider is the best player on the server, of course he's going to do well with this comp, because he's good, right? My counter argument to that is, he literally just followed the Reddit guide. Like, obviously he didn't have it out and open because he already memorized it, but I was watching his games, and he wasn't doing anything like that special with it. He rolled on 6, he hit the Lee Sin 2s, he prioritized tank items, and then he played Urgot with 800 AP, and it farmed him infinite gold, infinite items, and he just wins the game. And then he eventually gets other legendaries, throws them in, and he's still running 2 Lee Sin 2 stars. And it's just like, when that's the case, how are you not going to nerf the augment? Like, it doesn't matter what the data says sometimes. Again, like I worked in data analytics for like 6 or 7 years or something like that. And like, obviously, yeah, data is a very good indicator for a lot of things. I'm not disagreeing with that, but there are biases to the data. There's assumptions with the data that is missing a lot. And like, when some interaction is so stupid and everyone says it's so stupid, how do you not nerf it the patch before, especially when there's a tournament? It doesn't make any sense to me. And by nerf, I don't mean lowering all the numbers. I just mean removing this double shield interaction. Like, look, we have no more frontline. Syndra actually griefs the Lee Sin a lot, so I don't even know if Syndra's that great. But he ends up just shielding each other. Unfortunately, they got stunned by Sejuani, so we almost lose this fight. We don't even lose. We almost lost it. I actually thought that we were going to lose that fight and my point was going to be wrong and I would have to like either delete it or just keep it in there as a mistake or something like that. But we thieves our other Lee, so we don't get all the tank items. But let's just grab this Heart Crest. But the balance team, they're doubling down. They're quadrupling down saying this augment is not OP, which to an extent I agree with. The actual augment itself is not OP, but because this bug interaction exists, they should admit that they're wrong about it, but they don't for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, that's the one thing I don't like about people whenever they argue about TFT. Whenever something they think is the data is correct, they're like, oh, the data says this, so it must be true. But whenever the data is incorrect, they use one reason saying that like, oh, this is one of the cases where the data isn't trustworthy. And no matter what reason you give, they will never agree with you. So what ends up happening is that no matter who's talking about this, whether they're a developer, a player, or whatever, you will never win a TFT argument because either the data supports them or their reason for the data not supporting it like can't be countered for some random reason because they just won't accept a different view. I don't know how else to explain it. I don't even know if I explained it correctly. Hopefully you guys get the point though. But yeah, I think the augment should have been changed, but that's just me. It just took me one game of playing it and one game of watching it to know. Also, the fact that I don't even try to go for Lee Sin 3 here. I had an extra Lee Sin and I also had this Nikos on my bench is really telling. But yeah, I remember arguing with a caster before. Actually, before we get into that, I want to say this game is a low roll because we were stuck Lee Sin 1s and we did not get Urgot. So this game isn't even representative of the actual strength of this comp. But he essentially listed out some data that said X, let's say. And he said, look at this. Essentially, this means ABC is correct. And then I was like, that data doesn't actually say X. It actually says negative X. And then he was just like, oh, never mind. My point still stands, though. And I was just like, I literally use the same exact data set that you read incorrectly to reach the opposite conclusion of him. And he just refused to change his mind about it. It is actually hilarious. That's why I don't respect this person, even though he might be someone who is in the game, because she's just like, he only uses data when it works for him and doesn't use it, the same data set that he presented to make his point when it actually said the opposite. It's just hilarious. Maybe I'll release it later if like it ever becomes like a big thing, but it's just really funny. But yeah, essentially what I'm trying to say, you could just never win a TFT argument with anyone if they disagree with you. It's just impossible to. But yeah, I felt that discussion was pretty relevant. Also, like, there's not much I'm doing special this game. I just pressed the level up button a bunch, and because we don't have Urgot this game, it's actually a low roll game, and we get a third instead of a second or a first. But yeah, that's how good the augment is. Let's do some in-game audio just because it's funny. I mean, third's still good. It just means we need another third. You don't hit legendaries. Like, they get Urgot so early. Like, granted, I did not turbo high roll or whatever, but like, I could have used a courtesy Urgot in like stage 5 somewhere. Third is pretty hard to get in these games because like when these are the top 2 boards, 2-star Fiddle, 2-star Urgot, like 2-star MF early, 2-star Aphelios. Like when the 2-star Aphelios guy is losing, you know something's bad, you know? I guess he's playing like 5 Laser Core. I don't know what he's playing, but yeah, hopefully that rant before didn't turn everyone off from what's actually happening in the tournament because something insane is happening. We started 8-8, and then we just need a third, and then we're in. The first 8-8 didn't even matter, almost, at this point. Here are the standings right now. We have 22 points. We're, like, below the cutoff but we're in contention. A lot of players are. So on the live stream, we're just gonna watch some inspirational stuff.
You've got 10 seconds. The countdown.
Yo, Adriel B, thanks so much for the prime.
Up to Schultz. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
I don't know. I just felt inspired. It felt like an underdog story. We start off 8-8. We're almost back in it. There's a very strong chance. It's not even like we need a first. We just need a third to make it in. I turned on the speech from this movie as well. It's a movie about a real event. It happened in the 1980 Olympics where the U.S. team upset the Russian team or the Soviet team. And I don't know if you guys know hockey or not, but U.S. has no business in hockey. Russians obviously very good at it. So it's just like pure underdog story. There's an epic speech and stuff. But going into the last and final game, we get a bow. There are 3 bows here, so it's pretty easy to get. We get an early Siverin Riven, and we also get a tier and another bow. So Jax could be possible here. You know, we have an RFC to start off the game. Tier could be used for redemption. And then we actually get like a decent laser core start, but we ended up selling our Yasuo to pick up other stuff. So a little unfortunate there because it's one of the best starts. Prankster is also really good. Forge is probably the option here though. This time I do listen to Pokigam, I pick up the Trinity Force, and I do not regret it at all. Also, I'm being greedy here. I should just slam the Shiv. I don't know why I'm not. Like, I know forcing Samira is great from here, but like, not building an early game item seems kind of sus to me because Shiv is perfectly fine just to win streak with, or not even win streak with, like save HP with. Like, it would have saved us HP here, and we end up taking a bunch. I tried going for Underground, and then I wanted to pivot into Recons because we have 2 bows and a static Shiv. So I just ended up taking Cho'Gath on Carousel. We finally do get the Underground. It's a little late, but maybe we could still get away with it. But we end up going 2 and 3 in stage 2, which is not ideal. We do hit a Kai'Sa though with an Ashe too, so it's actually a pretty decent setup. What do we get here? More Kai'Sas and Vayne, so I'm like, hell yeah. I accidentally sell my Sona. So remember we had Underground in for 2 rounds. We were at 5 out of 10 Underground. I thought I had Sona on my board, so that's why I sold the extra one. Or what I thought was the extra one. Not exactly the best game 6 play, but hey, we're tired here. We played like 6 games of TFT, and you may notice, I did say I wanted to go Kai'Sa, right? But I'm gonna wait 1 round, because if we get Spread Shot, we saw the power of Spread Shot before, right? We wanna wait 1 round, because if we do get that, we'd wanna build a Spear of Shojin on our Vayne. If we go for Kai'Sa, we definitely want the Static Shiv. And if we lose this round, it's okay. This supersize augment is really good, but it's just Spread Shot. And I could have rolled hard here and looked for the Kai'Sa augment. It's pretty good because we'd get Kai'Sa 2 and then we'd stop rolling. And we're for sure rolling here. And I put my Kai'Sa on my bench because we have 2 pairs right now. We have pair of Vayne and pair of Kai'Sa, and we're looking for other stuff. So I want to roll down to 10 because if I get this Kai'Sa 2, it pops the item off. And like we get Kai'Sa 2, it'd be pretty sick. And we're also looking for Vayne. There's a lot of things we can hit, but unlucky, we don't get it. So we have to sell this Kai'Sa. I don't even know. Maybe we just play both the Kai'Sas, but you have to itemize your Spread Shot Vayne. So it really hurts me to sell that Kai'Sa because we have to find another one now. But also we don't have Vayne too, but it doesn't matter. This augment's way too gigabusted. Also just, I probably should put the other bow on her. So best in slot Vayne for this augment is going to be Shojin, Deathblade, and then some people like Gunblade, but I find, again, we played this before, right, earlier in this tournament. By the way, it does look like we are contested, but yeah, I don't really like the healing on Vayne with this build because you just one-tap everything. Like, yeah, I get it, it heals your tank, but you're really just using half the item. I'd rather just deal more damage and kill everything even faster. Probably the best build is going to be like Shojin, Deathblade, and then Infinity Edge if you don't have 4 recon, but if you do have 4 recon, screw it. Shojin double Deathblade because she will just one-tap everything. Obviously, though, we need to slam items because we have 2 bows, so we need to make use of them. So Giant Slayer it is. By the way, there are like 3 or 4 Samira players this game. Hilarious stuff. So there are like 3 or 4 Samira players, 2 Spread Shot players, and then the other 2 people, I don't even know what they're doing. They're probably going 8th. That's probably what's happening. But yeah. Quick work of this guy, Edge of Night, not enough. Obviously, we should beat a KL1. Also, the guy contesting us, he also didn't hit either. But let's check out what I'm thinking in the game right now. Do we keep Anima as an out? 7 Anima works with this really well. I mean, we don't have stacks. There's no point. It's recons. Like, we have like everyone 2-starred already. She should be 2-starred, and the item should have popped off of her. But it's okay. We'll forgive her. Maybe I should have went Kaisa carried. Again, because the items I had, and then it would give me Kaisa 2, I'd save all my gold. So in hindsight, it was Kaisa carry. But we are level 7 right now. We're going to do a light roll. We need some tanks, so I prefer 2 tanks, 2-star here, but is it worth rolling when we're contested? We don't have items to slam. I actually build a ZZ Rot portal here because when you do spread shot Vayne, you don't need to itemize your Kaisa, so I feel like you just get more value from slamming. Maybe it was Zephyr though, but even in a tournament, I'm too lazy to use Zephyr. I feel like I should fix that, right? Maybe I practice using Zephyr on ladder and just be that type of player, just so I can be more prepared about it in a tournament. I probably should just do that. By the way, throughout that whole time, I don't know if you noticed, but we just beat a Z2 so easily. Well, these augments suck. They don't really help us, so that's an easy reroll. These don't help that much either, but Exiles makes us tankier. I don't know if Axiom's that great for Vayne. She has some weird interactions with Shojin and Rageblade, so I didn't want to risk like bugging out or something like that. I mean, Exiles is pretty good because it gives us tankiness and we don't really have the tankiest team. But I would have preferred maybe... what would I want there? Maybe Jeweled Lotus or AD Cybernetic, but let's do in-game audio. Beat the cash out guy. This thing is so broken. Like, this augment is so stupid. Oh my god. Okay, how do we guarantee third this game? Because that's what we have to do now. We have another copy of Vayne. We are contested. Do we roll down for Nyla? Well, Nyla 2... Rammus 2, replace the Zac, like... I mean, he only has 3 copies. He doesn't have that many. Okay, maybe we beat everyone except for him. Don't tell me we beat 2 cash out people. So close. If he targeted Samira instead of the Zac with the regular auto, she would have died and then we win. Man, isn't that crazy? We almost beat 2 people who had cash outs. We went 1-1 against them and we almost beat the other guy. And we don't even have 2 2-star tanks. Now we're in the spread shot mirror. We're pretty much the same comp, I would say. Like, I think we're a little stronger right now. He has the Fiddle, but we do have like the Rammus 2 finally. Obviously we have the Ornn item too. Last Whisper is not that great in spread shot Vayne. I think it's like worse than slot. Like, look at the damage charts, barely any physical. Believe it or not, Last Whisper is the most popular item with spread shot, which is a huge mistake in my opinion. Like, I get it, people just slam Last Whisper early because they're playing Samira, but the fact that it's the most built for specifically spread shot Vayne baffles me. And I think it's just because people tunnel vision guides and stuff when they don't actually know how to do like math and stuff. Because like, you just look at it, and I get it, we have like Triforce or whatever. Obviously an Ornn item is going to be better than a regular item. But I probably have like more than 10 items that I would prefer over the Last Whisper from like normal craftable items. Obviously that player's DQA, like he was probably just going for Samira. But like if you're ever in a game when you like are playing for Vayne and stuff and you have spread shot, don't look at the data and be like, oh, the most built is Last Whisper. Let me build a Last Whisper too. Because it's just clearly not the best item. Everyone builds it though for some god knows what reason, and you just tap them with the Deathblade. Like, we haven't had Deathblade in any of these games, but just imagine if we just did more damage, and that's what the Deathblade does. Like, it just, you win the fight even faster. Like, I don't know what to tell you guys, you know. I can only tell you what happens, like explaining exactly why. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. By the way, our Vayne bugs out here. I was really pissed about this. She does like whenever you're in exile position, all the recons do the 1 square dash. So what you have to do is either put units together, forget about exile, or leave an extra space. You don't want units 2 squares away from each other. You want them 3 or more, or 1 square next to each other. So either like right next to each other or 3 spaces away, which is also like 2 empty spaces between them. But we're going to roll down to 10 every single turn. We get Kaisa 2 finally. It took us until 5-2 to get Kaisa 2. Oh my god. Man, that's not fair. By the way, you don't really care about Kaisa 3, don't care about Nyla 3. It is all about Vayne 3, one of the tanks 3, or nothing at all. See, I'm even itemizing my Urgot, not even my Kaisa. It's just like, whenever they're not 3 items, it's just, they're pretty bad, so I'd rather just itemize the Urgot. But yeah, looking at the scoreboard right now, we're at least 6, and this guy's about to get knocked out, it seems, so we got the 5th guaranteed. We just need 2 more placements, and then we're in. Holy cow. On Carousel, it's either tank items or Urgot items. So I opt to go for, I think, the Bloodthirster here or the Titans. Both of them are pretty tanky. Unfortunately, I don't think we could win this game. There are too many like high roller underground players, and we didn't hit Vayne 3 yet. By the way, did you guys know that Titan's Resolve only gives the resistances once you have 25 stacks? So it's not actually a tank item till you're fully stacked, which I honestly did not know until recently. But it's just kind of funny because I build it all the time. But we lose here, 20, 31 life, not bad. The other guy's at 13 life, so we just need to win that one, and then we're actually into the next day. Looking at these other boards, man, some of these are like way too scary. Like, holy cow. So many 2-stars. We get another Urgot, but we're trying to roll for the Vayne. No Cigar yet. Sell the Zac. Hold the Cho'Gath. One off both. By the way, if we had all our items on Rammus instead of Cho'Gath, I think we would have done a lot better. I think our Vayne's going to bug out again because... Wait, no, she actually didn't. I think it has to do with the targeting, because I've seen this too many times where you're in exile position, even without exiles, and they do the 1-dash thing. She didn't do it here, which is very interesting, because normally it does happen. I've seen it too many times before because I play too much recon, but luckily we win this round, knock him down a peg, and then he's going to be at 13 life or 18 life. The other player is still holding on to 13. We get the item, but we're not going to pop it yet. We want to wait a little bit. We want to see what we hit first and then pop it. Maybe we want to surprise Zephyr people or Shroud people also. By the way, I've sold and seen so many Zacs. I'm a little sad because Zac 2 would have been much better than Rammus 2. But we get the Cho'Gath here. Pretty good upgrade. Not really anything we really want that much. I guess like put something on Urgot, Shojin Urgot or something like that. Like what else can you do? I should be focusing on positioning, but man, not hitting this Vayne is a little sad. The contester is out of the game too. But we're facing the guy in second place right now. He's 30 life. He's got Aphelios 2, Samira 2, Bel'Veth 2, Sure Shot Crest, Radiant, Stone Plate. Holy cow. Yeah, Vayne 3 probably beats him here, but we just don't have it. So at least we got an item from Urgot, but we're at 12 health now. But this guy gets knocked out, so we actually made it in. In-game audio time. Oh, God. Fuck it, Vayne. Let's just get first. Why not? Is it first? Can't go in the middle because of this, so it's just 50-50 on the sides. He got us. Oh, we dodged Sedril. Screw it, second to guarantee it. 100%. No tiebreakers needed. Let's go! Man, we went 8-8 and then we... Oh my god. When you don't care about TFT, that's when you get the best TFT games of your entire life. Like, I'm rolling for fun. It doesn't matter anymore. Like, oh my god. Oh. Holy cow. You literally stop caring and then you just start winning. That's all you have to do. He's got almost Zac 3. I guess I should have held on to my Zacs. Oh my god. Okay, unless some stupid RNG point system thing happens where it's just like super top heavy, we're in, because we even have that insurance point. Like, it's gonna be really hard to not get it. Okay, spread shot Vayne's good. It's not that good. Oh my god. Just get cleansing safeguard, spread shot twice, and we had like a what was the other game? I don't even remember. Oh my god. Dude, I'm just a non-believer. I am not religious, so I don't know if that means anything. So I guess I just don't believe in stuff. That's why I think religions... I wish I was religious. But, oh my... Oh yeah, the 333 Yuumi game. Oh, Mortdog, I don't know what I did to deserve this. I know that I have yelled at you in the past. I am glad that you can forgive me some games. You know, you hit me pretty hard on ladder. I believe I dropped like 200 LP on ladder before this tournament. Twice. One in the first week, one in the second week. I'm glad that you gave me bad games in those because you're just testing me, right? That's what they say. You're just testing me. And now we are just in it. I think. Holy cow. My reward is playing more TFT tomorrow. 8-8. 8-8. Does not matter. Hashtag never give up. Oh my god, yo. Thanks so much, guys, for sticking by the whole time. I cannot believe this. You know what's funny? One of my friends, after I won 8-8, he's like, yo, you want to get dinner tonight? Because I told him if I lose, like, yeah, I'm down to do stuff. And then after that game, or after that 8th, I replied to him, the second 8th, I replied to him, I was like, damn, you're already counting on the loss. And he said, yeah, I mean, it's just unlucky, right? But it doesn't matter. We won Samira, we won 8-8, and then we just never played Samira ever again. This was a perfect Samira game for me, by the way. We take Portable Forge, we get Infinity Force, and then that's already a really good start, but I didn't commit yet. But then on Carousel, I'm first pick, there's a glove chilling over there, and I'm like, nope, let's not get the glove. I could have had Triforce Last Whisper on Samira, which I would normally probably do, like, but I got so, I think Tilt actually helped me this game because I got tilted from Samira too much that I was like, fuck Samira. So apparently 28 has a rough tiebreaker, but it doesn't matter because we're one of the 29s. Oh my god. So there you have it. We actually made it on to the final day of the tournament, which is so hard to do. You need to be in the top 32 and you're playing against the best players on the server. After the 8-8, I was so down, guys. Like, holy cow. But we actually brought it back. And it's so important because this other player that we talked about before, there's a hilarious tweet. On a scale of him to me, how good is your mental? Because he just rage quit out of the tournament. He's probably getting banned for a couple of sets from competitive. But then we just kept going, and then we just grinded all our way through. And again, getting that first place before, it doesn't mean much because it's as if we started 6-6-5 or something like that. But wow, what an adventure. I'll try to keep this video short because I know you guys want to see that last day, and I'll try to release that in a day or two.